Can you hear me?
I can now, mate. Yes.
Yoo-hoo!
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good.
What a mission.
Technology, mate. Technology. So, mate, yeah. So we're live now, mate. So, say nice things.
Best.
Mate, I saw a picture this morning. Elke showed me your place, and I was pretty impressed. I was like, that's your place. I didn't realize it looks very different to last time I was there. So,
yeah, Ben, you've been missing out here. You know, I haven't had any more solar problems.
It's a good thing. So I don't think, yeah. How long? Yeah, it's been a while since I've been to your property. So,
yeah, and we had such a beautiful rainy season as well. Everything just went exploded. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Totally. So, yeah, mate, it looks good. So, where are you sitting at the moment at your place?
Where am I sitting? So, that is just my banana circle.
Yep.
So basically, the shed is here to my left.
Yep.
The solar system is just right here on my left, and then to the right is that big hill that goes up and all around. So basically, there is now forest growing everywhere.
Yeah, cool.
Mm.
So, mate, no, it definitely looks. That drone photo looks amazing. So, looking forward to coming out.
Yeah, man, come over. We've got awesome to do here.
No, done. So, all right, mate. Well, yeah. So today, yeah, we're here talking about syntropic agriculture. So, tell us a bit about it. What it's all about.
Yeah. Oh, look, man, it's never very easy to describe because it's very complex. To me, the easiest thing to put is that it's basically a framework of regenerative agriculture. But the beauty for me of that is that it actually teaches that nature is very wise and we are not so very wise. And it teaches that we are very free, but nature is not very free. So it's basically, the way I see it, is kind of bringing those two qualities together in which, we become wiser and nature becomes freer. And hopefully when we do that, then everybody's happy. We are able to regenerate the land. We are able to, produce food for us or try to have some kind of economically viable enterprise or something like that. But it's really trying to marry the way that nature works. And we use forest dynamics. So that's how the whole process within the forest tends to work through succession. And then we try to understand those dynamics as much as we can, and then try to grow food. And basically, the idea is as we understand more and as we play more, we need less and less input, less irrigation, and hopefully better crops as well.
Yeah, working with nature, it's interesting. It's one of the big things that I know we focus on teaching our customers. That. Yeah, working with nature when it's sunny, get out and do as much as you can with your energy when it's sunny. When it's not, don't. And I think a lot of people go off grid and think that they forget about nature. And when it rains, you've got no power. Unless you want to start a generator, basically. So yeah, it's a bit of it's really important. Yeah, a lot of people forget about working with nature when living off grid from solar energy as well. So yeah.
Oh, it's massive, mate. I mean, it's we've been here for 2.5 years, and the learning curve is just ridiculous. I mean, it's just coming from a city background, and you get out here and you think you can just do things whenever you feel like it. It just doesn't happen like that, and you just have to be ready. Basically every morning it's a new day. And everything you planned yesterday most likely will just not happen. So you just got to be able to be really, really flexible and trying to just juggle all those variables as they come together. It's
learn to work with nature.
Yeah, it's quite challenging, but it's quite freeing as well. But there are times, we just had a beautiful rainy season for the plants, but for us it was, pretty difficult because we can't even drive in, as you know, it's like a 20-minute walk in and out. So it's almost like we're not only off grid, but we're kind of off the map a bit, off the roads and off everything. It's just being humble and trying to trying to play and work with nature in the best way we can, I guess.
Yeah, it's been crazy the amount of weather we've had, hasn't it? The rain, and it's makes it a challenge to get a lot of things done. So
yeah, but that's the reality of our climate. This is supposed to be the reality. We didn't have a overly wet rainy season. It's just how it's supposed to be. It's just that the previous year has been overly dry. That's the reality of living in the subtropics here in Australia. It rains at this time.
Yeah, for me, you know, when I took my house off grid in the middle of Sydney,
yeah,
pretty much we were off grid. We grew most of our own food. We energy was just, you know, that was easy to do. The one thing that was a huge challenge for us was water.
Yeah,
I was put in a situation where I pretty much had to get rid of half my backyard to have enough water to survive. Because in Sydney, we had a period of 3 months it didn't rain, and we had a 200 square metre roof, so we just didn't have that. Or be self-sufficient for water for 9 months of the year and just deal with town water for 3 months, you know. And that's one of the big reasons I moved to the Northern Rivers, because I thought I can just cheat because it rains up there all the time.
Yeah, so I thought. I tell you what, of years, pretty much when it came to kind of October, November, because all we got it's a couple of tanks up the ridge that we pump the rainwater that we harvest, and there is a little creek that we are able to pump sometimes, and we were told that that creek never dries. Oh yeah, sure. First 2 years it just dried, and really we were counting drops because, you know, we have no other option of bringing water in. We were just like, all right, we have 50 liters to drink and shower a day, and we have a little bit to garden, and it was living in the edge, that one. What is quite interesting, because we're not used to dealing with that, you know. Our modern culture nowadays, you know, you open the tap and there is always water. It's kind of when there is any water, it's like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
But when you're living off what you collect, you know, you gotta be on top of it and trying to, all right, should I fill up all my tanks now? You know, are we gonna have a bit of rain, or you know, always have to be trying to be on top of everything all the time, and it's impossible.
Yeah, it is. It's a big learning lesson for a lot of people to learn to live with nature. Yeah, so cool. So, mate, so with syntropic agriculture, what you know, a lot of our, you know, viewers are into permaculture. Yeah. So, what sort of, you know, a lot of people we ask, what's the difference between syntropic agriculture and permaculture?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, there isn't much of a difference when you look at the ethics. You know, people share and let's care for the land and that kind of stuff. So the ethics is pretty much the same. The way I see syntropic ag, it's how it complements, because permaculture for me, it's something that it's massive. It deals with energy, it deals with housing, it deals with everything. Yeah. And whereas syntropic agriculture is mainly about your relationship with the land, in terms of let's produce food in a way that is conducive with your environment and all the variables that come for you. Yeah. To me, syntropic ag pretty much steps into the food forest concept of permaculture. Yeah. But it brings a lot more. So basically, it expands from a design framework of, you know, how the forest gets organized and how plants can come together, into something that is very tangible and really production oriented, but with regeneration at the top. So it's about regeneration, and then about finding, as you are regenerating your land, and each land is, of course, you know, unique, how you regenerate the land, and how do you then find opportunities for production. Yep. And, you know, if you live in a grassland, so that's the kind of environment you're going to have to work in terms of regeneration. If you live into a rainforest, then that's the type of framework that you're going to work to regenerate and grow food. Exactly the same if you go into sclerophyll forest or into temperate forest or whatever. The principle was the same. It's understanding succession. So basically, it's how the plants move in time, and understanding space. So which plant requires what kind of space, and then you play with time and space, and see what happens.
Let nature do its thing.
Pretty much. I mean, I see ourselves as a conductor. So basically, we design, we think which plants we think might fulfill each function. We plant, and then we stand back and we observe, and then we start to see, okay, so what mistakes have I done, which parts of the system I thought I had brought into it but haven't. What's nature telling me, because I thought nature was going this way, but it's actually more going that way. So let's learn from nature. It's showing you where to go, because I think what happens in our agriculture is that we keep forcing, no, it's this way, and nature's going, come on, mate, it's that way.
Yeah.
So it's basically working, okay, understanding that we are not the most wise being on this planet. There is a much higher wisdom, but understanding that we are free to direct wisdom as well. So once you understand where nature is moving, all right, let's work with it, let's prune, let's manage, let's bring plants that will do those kind of functions that we want to regenerate the land. And as we regenerate the land, we grow food. It's that simple. But first we need to regenerate, because if we don't, then every time you bring in more fertilizer, more compost, more pesticides, insecticides, whatever, because nature wants to go there and we are going there. So
yeah,
you know who's gonna win, don't you?
Yeah.
We can buy a little bit of time with all the resources we've got, all the oil and technology, but we're just kidding ourselves that we can keep going the way we're going. It's just not gonna last. One more generation, and so better to start. My thinking is that we better to start thinking now, better to start changing now. So making the most of the resources we got available. So when they start to run out, we actually know what we are doing. So we still got a little bit of fat to chew on, but it's time to get moving. That's how I think.
Yep. No, cool. So, all right, mate, tell us about your off-grid solar system. We're an off-grid channel here, and your off-grid system and your experience living off-grid with energy.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so freeing, really. I mean, energy. Of course, there is the challenges, because as you said, you can't just flick a switch and go out to the pub and come back and expect that the light will be on forever. Which we kind of do it unconsciously in our modern houses. We kind of leave the lights on just because we leave the lights on. So it does bring a lot of extra consciousness, and I like it. I mean, it gives me freedom. It gives me responsibility. I have nobody else to blame but myself. And I love it. I mean, the system that we have now, we started with that. I even forgot the name. But was it the nickel iron that we started off? Wasn't it? That was a bit of that was a good idea, a good environmental idea. That's how we went there. But unfortunately, the reality of the site, which is kind of really, really shaded out, the winter sun drops a fair bit. And the way that I consume energy, which is pretty much very little most of the time, and then every now and then I need to pump water 60 meters up the ridge. As we navigated almost a bit of a marriage there for a year, trying to understand why things were not quite working and things like that. That system, as we kind of came to the conclusion, just started to get a little bit lazy, because I wasn't really working it on a daily basis. And when I was trying to work, even though it was on float, you were just going, I give you a kilowatt rather than the 4 kilowatts.
Yeah.
And then we changed to the, it was painful for both of us, I guess. That period was just like, man, what's going on? It's everything, doing all those measurements and things. And, part of understanding, that's how it goes. We try an idea and hopefully it works. And then reality comes in and you start to move things about. And in summer, there was like surplus of energy, who cares? And in winter, things got a little bit more sketchy.
Yeah.
Now we've got that new lithium one. Can't remember, those big tubes.
Yeah, the LTO is lithium titanoxide there, Zenergy.
Yeah, and I think since you came down and installed that, unfortunately, you haven't touched base anymore. So I miss you a bit.
It's funny. It's a huge, with a lot of people have been involved in help design systems and stuff over the years, and a lot of people have trees. They don't want to get rid of them. They want to go off grid and solar. It's a huge, myself included. Like, my house is surrounded by trees, and in summer I have endless power. In winter I really struggle. The trees are around. It's a nightmare. So yeah.
And I planted forest all around it, so they say I'm just observing. I still there's a little bit of shade coming into the panels. I'm going to have to chop a little bit. I'm going to have to reduce my forest a bit because it's already, 2 years down the track, it's already starting to impact significantly.
Yeah.
Well, look, the new system now really, I was actually quite surprised because of the amount of during the last few months we had so much rain. We had like 7 days with very little sunshine, and I think I turned the Jenny on maybe twice in the last 3 months, which I was really surprised. With the other batteries was kind of going every couple of hours kind of thing, just to keep it going. So happy as now. I think we've got plenty of power for whatever needs we have. But again, just being conscious, isn't it, when you turn that switch on?
Yeah.
And just kind of having a little bit of that plan ahead. Who's going to be sunning? Let's put this on. Let's put that on, and make the most. Because really, most of the time we are just wasting energy now because the system goes on float. Even in winter now, 10 o'clock, it's on float for most of our needs. So if we can make the most of that fat that we can burn, it just goes.
So you've got 4 panels, is that right? It's about 1.3 kilowatts of panels.
Oh man, you're the tech guy. I don't have a clue.
And was your inverter a 3 kVA inverter?
Yeah.
And how many of those black batteries do you have?
There's two batteries.
Just 2, cool.
Just 2.
Yeah, okay, so you've got 1.3 kilowatt of panels, you got a 3 kVA inverter, and you have 4 kilowatt hours of battery storage.
Yeah.
So
that's plenty. We actually run a Syntropic Egg course in the beginning of April. I mean, it was cloudy and we had the freezer on as well all the time.
Yep.
It did the job too because we were kind of preparing other food beforehand and keeping it in the freezer. So the freezer stayed on for about a month beforehand, and it did the job too. So for what we need here, it's good. I mean, for the daily basis, it's too much, but when we need a little bit of an extra kick, it's great to have it and be able to use it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, it's actually, in the whole scheme of things, it's a very small system, is the reality.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how do you guys cook at home?
Oh, our gas at the moment. Our gas, we just have a little 9 kilo bottle, and maybe once a month we just go down to the shop and refill it.
Yep.
It's been a bit of a mission walking in and out of the gas bottle lately because we can't drive in because of the wet. But again, it's part of planning. Living off grid is about thinking ahead as much as you can, but also accepting that that tomorrow is unknown, and you will have to adapt to whatever comes. Be it power, be it water, be it food, be it your mind.
Yeah, but you want to get yourself, look at a little induction cooktop. Your system will run a little induction cooker.
Well, look, I haven't tried, but I hate those induction things. Ideally, I mean, the ideal that we like to move toward is more like a wood cooking setup. That's how, and that's part of the reason why I'm growing a forest. There's a lot of firewood that I'll be able to cut and use it. But that's kind of a little bit down the track and and learning how. I mean, we bought a little when COVID hit. We kind of like, oh, maybe we start doing a bit of fire cooking now, and we kind of bought a little not indoors and outdoors little system to cook. We haven't played yet. It's in the agenda to start to move towards that. We also have a little gas bottle for the hot water system for shower. And I'm starting to think about a little solar system as well. Yeah, it's all doable, but I just find that if you do everything in the beginning, you don't really understand your needs. So we did what we could in the beginning, and now we're starting to, okay, how can we get more of grid? How we can keep on moving a bit further and a bit further and a bit further. Now we understand how much water we need, so I can, rather than just go and get off the shelf kind of system, now we have a little bit more understanding. And we put a lot of energy as well on regenerating the site. The site was pretty poor. Cattle, poorly managed cattle, followed by, first there was logging and then cattle. In our area, it's a steep, like 30-40% gradient site, west facing. When you put cattle like that and you don't manage properly and you have 200 mil overnight, that topsoil just disappears. So our main focus was, yes, we have that little fat to burn with gas and things. Let's use while it's there. Let's focus on regenerating the land, which takes a lot of time. And now that things are starting to move, I pretty much planted most of what I wanted to. So now it's on the management. So hopefully now we start to have a little bit more time to look into solar hot water and wood fire cooking and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. If, one of our customers is pretty cool setup. If you go to the Mullumbimby Community Gardens,
yeah,
they've done the same thing. They've just actually got black agriculture pipe and wound it around, put it on the roof, and it's just it heats the hot water up, puts it in a tank later on. So there's plenty of ways to do that. And we've actually had a customer who he's been testing a little product. It's a really cheap, like $150 product he brought online from America, and 2 solar panels that heats like a 300-litre electric hot water tank for him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's awesome. So because for me, that's why I love induction cooking. The biggest problem I've seen people have with induction cooking, they don't understand how to use them. People are complicated. So. But to me, like, you could use induction cooking. It's going to help you reduce your usage on gas, and same with that solar hot water. Just reduce that usage of gas. And it is the reality is there's times where nothing except for fossil fuels is going to solve your problems if you want to have power because it's rained for weeks and you got to run a generator. It just is what it is. So
yeah.
That's
what I do. Look, I'm actually one. I don't know. It's kind of growing up from Brazil. We never really seen that kind of stuff. It was just fire and just turn on and it's hot. You don't gotta wait things and da da da. So I'm kind of might be a bit of a cultural blockage as well. But I think it's a fair point. Using gas is a problem, and I have to address it. And let's be honest as well, cooking on wood fire is not the easiest thing and the quickest thing either. If you want to just make a little bit of popcorn or something, so it's worthwhile because we do have spare energy. It is fair. So I should try it out, to be honest.
If you want to borrow one, I have one at the shop. You can borrow to move a test, and you can come back on the channel in a few months and tell how they went. It's the same sort of electric turbo ovens. Your system will run one that they're a couple of $100 from Harvey Norman's good guys. Energy efficient, that's the about them. So cool. Yeah. So if a lot of these people watching this stream are new, want to go off grid, what's some tips you would give people looking to go off grid and plan a lifestyle like what you've done?
Yeah, look, I think first of all is understand your access. For us, we kind of underestimated the challenges of accessing our off-grid place. It's within a friend's kind of property, and we're kind of doing a bit of farming and this kind of together. We thought, it's a little driving. Yeah, it gets wet, but whatever. So I think understanding access, it's very important because, for the last 3 months, basically, or 4 months, we've been just walking in and out. It's a 20-minute walk with anything, groceries or gas bottles or whatever. So that really plays on the mind, I find, where, for you to get out is 20 minutes to walk regardless. It makes the adventure a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
The other one is, try to pay attention as much as you can on your land. And, if you can move in slowly, I don't know, I'm not sure if it's possible. If you can have a slower transition, I find that you reduce the amount of mistakes you make. Because we have this idea, this conception of what living off-grid will be, and then reality is always different. It's impossible to be spot on.
Yeah.
So it's kind of finding this time and space where you can slowly transition. Of course, you have to have a house and you have to do some things. But I find that a lot of the big expenses, if you can just hold on a little bit, it starts to inhabit that place a little bit slower, a little bit softer, until you really understand what you really need, how much you really need, and what are the challenges, especially if you can, live 1 year a little bit more on the soft side, where you really understand where it's really windy, where it's really wet, where it's really cold, where it's really hot. Because then you haven't spent all that money and all that energy on the perfect house, and then you just find out that you put it right on the cold pocket and in winter is unbearable, or something like that. Or those little things that make a big difference. So it's kind of hard for us, more than human beings, that we think a lot, and we have a lot of people trying to help us think, but nobody's actually inhabiting the land, and we just makes too much mistake. It becomes really costly in the end, and you get really lazy trying to retrofit things and da da da. So I would say start slow. Start with the bare minimum that you can handle, and some people might handle just a tent, and some people might need a shed, and some people might be whatever suits your lifestyle and your needs. But I would say start with the smallest footprint that you can, and then starts to understand the nuances, the microclimates, how water flows. For me, the water flowing the water just shows all your mistakes pretty much. You go like, yeah, I got it spot on, and then you got 200 mil overnight, and you go like, ooh, okay, there is water everywhere now. I gotta put a drain there. I gotta cut this better. Nature will tell you your mistakes if you are willing to listen.
Yeah.
So the slower you get in, the more attention you pay, the more money you're gonna
save. Yeah, it's such a good point. Is like, I always tell people the best money they will spend is getting the house energy efficient.
Yeah.
And you put your house in a situation where it doesn't get ridiculously hot from the western sun, or it's not freezing because it's stuck over an east and south corner or something like that. It's a game changer. Then your solar system becomes lights, TVs, and fridges. It's the costly thing to do off grid is heat or cool the house. And if you can, design that it's not necessary, you're so much further from everyone else. And like for me, like every house I've done, I've retrofitted, and it's been costly, expensive, and I've purely done it because I wanted to do it, because that's what I do.
Yep.
To test the energy efficiency and things like that. So it is the best money you'll spend is getting that house design right and the energy efficient. So it's good advice, mate.
Yeah. And look, the basic course in permaculture will just start to open up ideas. You don't have to become, the most proficient permacultural designer, but just start to understand some of the variables that we have to play with. How water moves on the landscape, how the sun travels. What do you need for summer to be kind of cool? What do you need in winter to be kind of warm? Different polarities and different forces that come together. That, if you put your house in the wrong spot and the design, just because people go like, oh, where is the best view? And usually the best view is kind of one of the worst spots. Usually you are very exposed to winds and rains and things like that, and it gets really dry as well. Usually if you have a bit of undulating land somewhere in between the middle of the slope, that is not down the bottom, that is not right at the top. So a little bit of understanding, reading a few books on just how to think about those variables that unfortunately we're not taught at school anymore. In school we go economics, we go accounting, we go mathematics, and we forget that there are many, many very strong forces at play, that they will play regardless of your existence. So pay attention.
Sure. No, definitely. Well, mate, we've actually had a question from someone here, which I think we'll end on this. Emily said, what were some of your biggest mistakes during your transition?
Pushing it too hard. Having a big vision, having some big concepts, and not understanding what it takes to grow a forest, not understanding what it takes to create a comfortable space, not understanding anything. That was probably my biggest underestimation, is just how long things take, and how much it costs to make things in a way that you think you need. I find that I and most people expect a lot, think that we need a lot, but the more you start to be comfortable with natural forces, then you start to understand that you actually don't need that much. So bigger mistake is going too big too quick.
Yep.
By far.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Good advice.
It breaks the back, it breaks the bank, it breaks the mind.
Yeah.
And especially the mind, I find the hardest one, because all of a sudden you have a million things to do every day. and you have to choose what you can do and what you're gonna have to pretty much let it suffer a bit. And that
Yeah.
plays in our mind on a constant basis because we have this concept that we can do everything all the time, and all you do press a button, it's enter and it's sent. Off grid, there is no button to press. It's part of the reality, I guess. And look, it's incredibly rewarding. It's incredibly freeing, and I recommend to everybody. I think we have to start going there. And perhaps one more thing is that we kind of tend to think that we can do all by ourselves. And I would say if you can move in, or if you can move off grid with somebody else, another family. I reckon 2 families, it's becoming the minimum common denominator. Otherwise, there is no holidays, there is no weekend on the beach, it's just full intensity, which is awesome. But sometimes you feel the nature is just kind of starting to eat you away, and it's good to just go somewhere else and be able to have somebody else to look after.
Yeah.
Relationships are very important.
Yeah, no, they are definitely. So, yeah, cool. So, mate, if people want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, there's a little website that every time I'm updating as much as I can. It's another mission, understanding the things. But yeah, synthropicgardener.com. Email victor@synthropicgardener.com as well. That's pretty much it. I'll send you one email and you can send them my contact.
Yeah, Dan. Well, we'll put it on in below the video. So if anyone's watching this video in the future, all the details are in the description below. So
yeah, cool. I'm happy to expand on anything Syntropic Ag or off grid or my experience with cooking and power and whatever. I think if I can help somebody else to make better decisions, anytime.
Awesome. Mate, thank you. We really appreciate you coming on the channel and having a conversation with everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, guys, for the tech support, and hope to have you here one day, man. Come over whenever you're passing by.
We'll make it happen, mate. We'll make it happen.
Awesome.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks a lot for your help.
Now, yeah, thanks, guys. And don't forget, if you got some of this video, whack in the comments below, like, subscribe, and share this video with some friends.